WA Premier Mark McGowan has done what his Victorian counterpart Daniel Andrews didn't, raising the plight of detained journalists on a recent trip to China. The Premier used the end of his business trip to speak to China's Vice Foreign Affairs Minister in Beijing about the detained Australian journalist Cheng Lei and Dr Yan Jun.
Premier Mark McGowan managing to smooth out the controversy of his 5-day trade mission to Beijing by raising human rights concerns he initially refused to raise. The Premier held a high-level meeting with China's Vice Foreign Affairs Minister, Ma Zhaoxu, bringing up the case of detained Australian journalist Cheng Lei and writer Yang Hen-jun.
I had a long and productive meeting with Minister Ma, best part of an hour. As part of the meeting, on a couple of occasions, I raised the matters surrounding those people and said it would be in the interests of both countries if the matter could be resolved as soon as possible and if they could be returned to Australia.
Cheng Lei was working as a news anchor for the Chinese government's English-language broadcaster CGTN. The mother of two was taken from her Beijing home in August 2020, charged and jailed on suspicion of illegally supplying state secrets overseas.
He said that it was helpful that I raised it and that he would look further into the matter.
The Premier also rebuked claims he suggested Australia's National Cabinet should be held in China after he called on the Prime Minister to invite all state and territory leaders to the country.
What I said was it would be good if the Prime Minister, when he went, if he wanted to, he could take a delegation of the Premiers and Chief Ministers of Australia. That's what I said, a delegation. Never said a meeting of National Cabinet in China. I never said anything of the sort. In fact, I actually expressly ruled it out.
Mark McGowan's China trip began in controversy, caught bad-mouthing Shadow Defence Minister Andrew Hastie at a Beijing business lunch.
He swallowed some sort of, Cold War pills back in when he was born, and he couldn't get his mind set out.
Caught out, but he's not apologising.
So, Mr Hastie and Mr Dutton would talk about going to war with a nuclear-armed superpower. Now, personally, I think that's stupid. I mean, if anyone thinks that's a good idea, please say so. Because it's not. It's dumb. So I expressed my view about how they still thought we're in the Cold War. Nothing I haven't said publicly in Australia many times. And whilst I was sitting there, I didn't realise there was a boom mic above my head.
And like Dan Andrews' somewhat secretive and criticised Chinese mission, his trip has also raised questions about transparency. The Chinese government's work visa process saw only one reporter and one photographer travel with him, both being from Kerry Stokes' West Australian newspaper. Crystal Wu, Sky News, Perth.